Welcome to Who Touched the Thermostat. I'm RJ Evans. Glad to be back on our every other Friday random chat. Still trying to get everything squared away. Make sure everything's live here. Alright, looks like everything's good. Live there. Check YouTube real quick. Yep, alright, cool. That's good. Thanks, guys. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things, and I was hoping that I would have a little more things set up with the new streaming setup. Have a few transitions and stuff, and a waiting page and everything, but just haven't got to that all taken care of yet. So been kind of crazy few weeks, and we had to evacuate for. Well, I chose to evacuate, get the kids out, pregnant wife, get them moved out of the way of the storm. So took a little trip up north and got to safety. And then our town pretty much got spared for the most part. I mean, we lost electricity, lost all of our food and stuff wherever. But other than that, a couple places on the house, the soffit around the house is pushed up. But with Ian, a bunch of the soffit was ripped out, pretty much all the way around the house. So this time it was a little bit of branches, a little bit of tree debris and whatnot, just scattered through the yard, but nothing major. But we did lose power for a few days, which with it being in Florida so hot so quick, our fridge and freezer, even with it being shut and everything spoiled. So had to rip all that stuff out. But also on the way, the last part of our trip, pretty much everybody was sick. The whole family started going through and picking up something, I guess, from traveling. But now we're home safe. Everybody's feeling better, getting back in the swing of things, and just in time for my every other Friday live here. So I normally try to do the poll on X and kind of see what topics are on people's minds. But through this week and the last week, I started having just things popping in my mind, like things that hit me, and I was like, all right, I'm going to talk about this. So I started making just little notes, nothing too in detail or whatever, but just things that would kind of remind me of some of the topics I wanted to talk about. And of course, anybody want to hop in the chat or have something that they want to say or whatever, I'm always encouraging people to make this kind of a two-way live, so that I'm able to interact with people, and I like to grow it to be something that is interactive, at least this show, and then I'll expand and I'll do some more pre-recorded interviews and some other type of video content as well. Which, talking about interviews, so I guess one of the first things that popped in my head, or one of the first things I guess I'll go to talking about interviews, there is a guy that I would like to try to do a sit down with and interview and talk to him about some of his experiences and stuff. And this was something that I've thought about for a while, but I saw a video earlier today shared on X that was a Cuban guy in Miami that was doing some kind of dance and stuff for Harrison Walls. And, it's funny to me because I'm like, you could have just stayed in Cuba if you wanted that kind of outcome. You know, like, I don't know why you come here and vote, but, I had some people commented and stuff whenever I had quote tweeted it that it's the same kind of thing you see with people leaving California, fleeing California's high prices and everything and whatever, and going to other places and poisoning it with horrible ideas. But it's just kind of weird to me because everybody that I know that's escaped communism in any type of form, socialism or what have you, anybody that I've ever met, either from Cuba or from former Soviet Union stuff, wherever, like, those people were pretty gung-ho about, like, not doing that again. So just kind of weird to me, but it did pop into my head, this interaction that I had. Actually, it was after Ian. So whenever we came back from, we evacuated for Ian, and it's funny, my wife keeps getting pregnant right before hurricanes hit our area. So with Ian, my wife was pregnant with our second, and so that was the reason why we ended up getting out at that time, just to try to take away some of the stress and stuff wherever on her being pregnant. And then this time the same thing, she's pregnant with another one, so trying to get away, whatnot. Anyways, so with Ian, we came back home, and Ian, we had some more damage. Very thankful that we didn't have any crazy damage. I look around and I see everybody else, and I'm like, okay, ours is nothing. But we had some damage to our, just a little bit on the roof, a little bit of the soffit around the house, and then most of the houses down here in Florida have like a screened-in front porch and a screen door, obviously, and everything. And the screen door actually pretty much ripped itself off during the storm, and it was just free flapping, and so it tore it up real bad, bent it all over and everything. So they were supposed to replace it. Well, one company came out, and they had shown a door that they were replacing it with, that was supposed to be pretty much exactly the same door. They came and they replaced it with a junk door that was not anywhere the same. And so whenever I came and saw the job was done and they were gone, I was like, yeah, this is not right. So anyways, ended up getting it all taken care of, but another company actually ended up coming and doing the correct door. And that guy was super nice, and I'm talking to him and everything, and I offered him water and stuff, wherever. And then I turned around and I realized on the back of his shirt, the phone number they had was Kentucky area code that I grew up with, and I was like, huh, that's weird. So I started talking to him, and he was like, yeah, I lived up there for however many years or whatever, and he said that he's originally from Cuba. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So I started talking to him and asking him about it. I was like, well, how'd you get here? Because I have friends there's people that I know that have flown over, and obviously I know several people that have come over on makeshift rafts and stuff, including a guy that I was in the Air Force with. So I was just curious, and he was like, it's kind of a crazy story. And I was like, awesome, let's go. I want to hear it. And so we started talking, and he's telling me that him and his wife were doctors in Cuba. And he said that Cuba has like a doctor, there's a term for it that he said, but I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically like a a doctor, like rent a doctor program. I guess that's kind of the best way I can think of saying it right now. But or lend a doctor, maybe that's what he was kind of saying. But so Cuba will send doctors to other countries, and the country. This is well, I don't even know what part to tell you first. That's craziness. But anyway, so uh, he was saying that essentially, I'll get to the money part second. So he said essentially, uh, George Bush, um, he had actually created a program um, to for certain certain types of jobs. Doctors, I guess, is one of them, and a couple other jobs where they had like special refugee status from Cuba, and a couple other places, but Cuba was specifically one of the big one. And so he said that it was very tricky though because they had to come in a very particular way, and so they were spending time. I think it was Colombia. I could be wrong. Like I said, I would like to interview him and get like kind of more down into his thoughts and his time in Cuba and like how he feels and compares things and whatever. I think that would be pretty interesting. But anyway, I'm just kind of paraphrasing what he was telling me because it's crazy enough. So he said that they were going back and forth and they would spend time, and they basically like left in the middle of the night to go to a I guess I think it was a U.S. Embassy in that country that they were being lended to, and then they had to go through like different means and stuff and basically come up through Mexico, and then they like flew in or something. I can't remember the specifics, but anyways, they ended up landing in Louisville, Kentucky, which is where I grew up, and that's where the area code that I noticed on the back of the shirt. So I was talking to him because of that, and then he was telling me that that's why they were there, because there was some kind of program or wherever going through there. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And I was like, so, why aren't you a doctor here? And he's like, well, there's a bunch of different like, requirements and stuff and whatever. And he was like, but I was also like a handyman beforehand. So he was like, I just started doing that locally and whatever. And he was like, it's much better. He was like, I'm just doing this because I can control, schedule and that kind of stuff, which makes sense, right? It's a little bit less stress, and he was going to have to go through a whole bunch of extra stuff to get his like medical license here in the States. So he then goes to tell me, which this is the crazy part, money part, is that he and his wife were getting paid $400 each, so $800 total, as doctors in Cuba. But the contracts and stuff from these other countries were, for lack of specifics, it was like $4,000 per. So it was like $8,000 per month that Cuba was getting, and they were only paying them $800 a month, him and his wife together. And he was saying that that went on for a long time, and they had to escape. They refused to stay under that, and I was like, that's crazy. Okay, you're talking about 400 to 4,000. So Cuba's making $3,600 per month off both of them, lending them or renting them out to other countries, as and making it look like a humanitarian thing. It's just crazy. I mean, there's tons of stories. Anybody who's met somebody who's escaped communism from anywhere, whether it's Cuba or former Soviet Union or China or what have you, like there's always very interesting stories that are going to be told, and they vary, but that one was one of the first ones where I'd met somebody who used to be a doctor, and it really shocked me because he's fixing my front door. Did a great job, fantastic guy. He's actually come back and done some more work for me, and he just decided that this is where it is. But he's also he also went on to say he was like, America is awesome, like I love America, and he said that he still has family in Cuba, and it makes it difficult and stuff. But he's built a family here now. So um, yeah, I just wanted to share with you because I saw that video of the Cuban guy dancing for Kamala and Tim Walz and stuff, and I was just like, it's so crazy because I know so many people who risk everything to get away from that ideology, and even one of the guys I know lost a cousin, like in their process of trying to escape Cuba, and it's just crazy to me. It's insane. So anyways, so that was a little story that I thought about, popped in my head, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna share this, and it just was perfect timing because I've been wanting to talk about it. I just didn't know when, and then I saw that video and I was like, okay, perfect time now because that kind of seems appropriate. But yeah, so just know, like, Cuba's basically pimping out doctors, paying them normally $400 and then getting $4,000 from other countries, and their humanitarian rent a doctor situation. So so the other thing, okay, so another thing that came up, there's a video where somebody had shared today that was it was somebody doing like pranks, like all these kids are doing different stupid pranks and stuff now, and having whatever for several years and stuff, and every time I see them, it drives me crazy because I'm like, you know what? I hope that these people end up getting caught by the wrong person because they take advantage of all kinds of people and unsuspecting weaker people and that kind of thing, and it just drives me up the wall. And anyway, so there's this video where this dude pranked the wrong guy, and the guy ended up pulling a gun on him, and there's comments and stuff, and everybody was like, well, hopefully this will help rein in the prank culture, and it probably will. The more people start standing up to it, and it becomes a more regular occurrence where they're not getting away with, bullying, pranking people and stuff in public all the time, the less it's going to happen overall. Which brought up a whole thought, a personal experience is that, I don't know, I guess this was like 2 years ago, give or take a little bit of time, but we were in a Walmart in the next town over, and it was a little late, and at the time we only had my oldest daughter, who was five, and so we were in Walmart. We were just kind of looking around and stuff. We had a couple things to get, but we were letting her look. We were letting her look at some toys and everything, and off in the distance, I can hear like a group of teenage kids like acting crazy and just kind of spazzing out and whatever, hooping, hollering, and carrying on and whatnot. And I just looked at my wife at the time and was like, stupid kids, they're just being dumb. And they kept getting closer. Well, then they had got some of the big balls, the big bouncy balls, were over out of the stand-up container thing, and we're throwing them and hitting stuff on the racks, knocking stuff all over the place, and then they started kicking it, like trying to kick the ceiling with the ball and stuff and whatever, and they were like, they had whatever 5 or 6 of these big balls and kicking them around, and then they start kicking them and launching them like in all different directions, and they're knocking product off the top shelf into the aisles and everything. And I'm standing there and I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous, and they're getting close to us. And so I start hollering and telling them they need to knock it off. And they get all empowered and stuff because this is like, they think that it's funny, kids and everything. Well, then they start getting closer and they start knocking stuff off, and it's coming close to us. And at that point, my daughter's freaking out. She's terrified. And I'm telling her, I'm like, it's fine, you're calm, like, calm down, it's okay. I got it. Dad's got it. Which she knows I'll protect her. She knows that she's fine. But, she's just kind of freaking out a little bit. And my wife's trying to, hold her. close, and so I go down the next aisle and go to confront them. Well, of course, they go and run because they're all scared, and they're all punks anyways. And so I come back around the corner with my wife and kid, and we're standing there, and the kids stop kicking the balls and stuff or whatever. But then they started doing all kinds of stuff like beating on the racks and stuff. Obviously, try to intimidate me or my kid, one of the two. Doesn't really matter. But then they come to the edge of the aisle and like scream bloody murder, and like to be like scary or whatever, which does freak my kid out. And so I run up after him and I confront him, and the kids are trying to act tough, and I'm like, I don't think you guys understand. Like, you think that you're being cool and everything, but I'm telling you that if you hurt my kid, I'm gonna hurt you. I don't care how old you are or what you're doing. Like, you're a gang of kids, whatever. And so they leave for a minute. I thought everything was fine. Then they come back and they go even harder. So I ended up chasing them out of the store, and another dude comes, and we're chasing them out of the store. Manager comes around the corner. Like, finally, it's only been like 10-15 minutes of these kids being psychotic throughout the store, and we go outside, and the kids are all running scared and stuff or whatever. And I came back in, and ever since then, like, my kid, whenever she sees like teenage kids or whatever in the store, she's like, are they gonna be jerks? And I'm like, nah, it's not like that. Not all kids are, not all kids have parents that don't love them. Like, there's good kids out there. They're just kind of hanging out at Walmart or whatever. I used to do it all the time, and I never terrorized families or kids or whatever. But it was messed up because I ended up coming, after the fact, I got into like a local group chat, and I was like, hey, I'm letting you guys know, if you have kids running around acting a fool, this is the situation, and you probably should sit your kids down and let them know that, like, I'm a pretty cool-headed person, but eventually they're going to run up against somebody that doesn't have such a cool head, somebody that is much quicker to act crazy, and they're going to end up getting hurt. So I know that, like, I don't understand, because I went through my time of doing goofy stuff or whatever, but we did different things. We weren't doing that. And now, like, with TikTok and all the video and stuff and Instagram and whatnot, kids are doing all these crazy pranks and pushing people over or knocking things down, and I'm like, all it takes is one crazy person to snap, and that's it. And I don't think these kids really understand. And then, of course, there's the keyboard warriors. Like, these kids get all beefed up and stuff because they've been talking trash to people on social media or what have you. But whenever it comes to the real deal, whenever it comes to facing up to people, they have no idea that what could be in store for them. So I keep seeing all these prank videos, and I wish that they would just go away, because I say that, but I hope everybody understands that I mean, like, the people that are borderline assaulting people, not just like goofy pranks or like pranks amongst their family and stuff, whatever. Like, those are fun. Those are old school, American Funniest Home Videos type thing. But yeah, just like raging around, and, just to mess with people, just seems incredibly stupid to me. And I don't know. Look at my kid, still is like looking around, and she always knows that I'm gonna take care of her. She always says, like, Dad, go tell them to stop, or go tell them to leave and stuff. I'm like, well, I'm not telling them to leave. They're not doing anything. Yeah, so it's just crazy how the culture has gotten that way. Like, people don't have any kind of respect for other people, or at the very least kids. Like, it's not like it was just me. It was me, my wife, and my little kid. Yeah, I'm sure other people feel the same way, and I'll be interested to see if anybody else has their own stories. But So another thing that's been on my mind a lot as a dad, especially with me, like, um, with me losing my dad at a kind of a young age and stuff. I didn't have. I had some guidance. My dad imprinted on me a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that I remember, even from whenever I was younger, like lessons that my dad tried to teach me, or habits, or whatever, things that have stuck with me. But there's a lot of stuff that I missed out on. So I've always I've looked for other family members and other older friends and stuff, or wherever, to kind of mentor with, I guess. And whether it's pastors and stuff over the years, or friends have some years on me, or other relatives and stuff, wherever, I try to find people that can help me get learn certain things, or get through certain situations in life. And and sometimes it's going out and finding people that are offering advice, whatever, on YouTube or books or what have you, like anything. But one thing that I've started looking at and started kind of piquing my interest is that there's a lot of people that seek advice from people that don't have the results that you want. So whether that's business, or like a spiritual, religious mentorship, or a parenting mentor, or anything. Wherever you're looking at those people, like, you really should look and see, like, what they, what the fruit of that is. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they are not wise per se, but if you want to get to a certain endpoint and they haven't gotten there, or that's not even their target, then you should probably find a different mentor. So, like, for me, like, if I was, and I'm not saying I'm looking for this, but I'm saying, like, if I was looking for a mentor figure, like, I would want somebody who has or desires to have a small, like, homestead type situation, and has wants to have fresh food, access to fresh food, even if you're not growing it, but, like, like, all those things are important to me. Homeschool, and have a Christian faith background. Like, all these things should go into it, because if that's my goal, if I want to raise my family to be independent, semi-independent from the system, somewhat off grid, somewhat self-sustaining, in a homeschool environment, and ultimately wrapping all that up in Christian values. But I'm following somebody who doesn't value any of those things, that doesn't think any of those things are important, then it kind of seems like a waste of time. Like, you can still get advice, like, on certain things, on specifics, if they know, something like a very specific piece of knowledge or whatever. But I started seeing people and talking to people and seeing that they are getting all this knowledge and information from people that are not interested in going in the same direction as you, not interested in the same type of lifestyle that you want. And it's like, why are you even, why are you bothering so much to listen to somebody who doesn't even have the same goal as you? Like, you should find people and surround yourself with people that have a similar goal and similar values. And this goes for even outside of, like, a mentor, or finding people that you can take advice from, but, like, building your circle should incorporate people that have the same general goal as you. Like, not everybody's going to be exactly on the same page as you. Like, there's some people that are going to be more lenient about clean food. There's going to be some people that have a different approach to homeschooling. They're maybe a little bit more curriculum driven instead of like a unschool type situation. But yeah, like I see a lot of people, and I'm like, you're following people and getting advice from people that have their kids in public school, you know, eat out all the time, have, you know, no desire to have, you know, clean food or access clean food, and also like people. I mean, another big thing is like people that fall just like agree with the approved narrative and stuff. That's another crazy thing. I'm like, okay, like these people aren't even on my wavelength. To if they're not even beginning to approach some things from a open perspective, especially after the severe flu years. I'm not really interested in taking your advice. You know, it's the same kind of thing. You're seeing a lot of people with doctors. Like, all these doctors didn't just follow the the given protocol and didn't stray from that, refused to stray from that, was afraid of whatever. You know, and I mean, there's a few of them that, you know, were outlaw rebels and were actually trying to help people and trying to find treatments and trying to find things that were working better for people and preventing people from being sent to the hospital, intubated, put on remdesivir, and dying. So like, there's some of those people. But I mean, most people that I talk to now, they're like, yeah, if I get a broken bone or get like a bad enough cut where I need stitches, wherever, I'll go in and let them stitch me up or let them, you know, put me in a cast. But for the most part, like, that's it. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna give these experts a bunch of my time and a bunch of my money. And I think a lot of people feel that about teachers now. I mean, there's all kinds of different former experts that have kind of fallen into a space. What's up, buddy? Where people don't trust them and are finding different options. But yeah, it's like there's just. I think it's really important to find good mentors, and I'm still like learning as I'm growing as a father and as a husband, and trying to grow, doing video work and selling t-shirts and hoodies and everything else, and trying to make things work and trying to find options and more ways to free my family. So I'm looking for good advice. I'm looking for people that are going to give good advice and trustworthy advice. But as I'm looking for those people, more and more I'm looking for people that have a similar target, have a similar goal. And like I said, if it's something very specific, like if I need somebody to help me with how to design or how to better set up my video presentation here and stuff, you know, they don't have to be on the same page. But like if I'm asking for, you know, a lot of information or trying to find somebody that I can bounce ideas off of, like they either have to be there and looking back and saying like, hey, don't step there, come over here, or we need to be on the same track, and they can be like, hey, follow me, like we're going this way, you know. And I just see a lot of people that are following people that don't have the same goal, and it just kind of strikes me as odd. And I think that people are just like, oh, well, they're an expert, so I'm going to follow them. And I think that we really need to take a step back and make some personal judgments, and not to trash certain people. They may be fine, but they're just going a different way. They're not going the same way that we are or you are. And I hope that makes sense. I mean, it's just something that's been on my mind. I see a lot of people that are choosing mentors that just don't gel with your end goal. So I feel like it's kind of wasting everybody's time. And eventually you're going to get to the point that you're like, well, I'm not even anywhere closer to where I wanted to be. And it's like, well, you followed the wrong person. So, yeah. Chat's a little dead. Come on, guys. Let's talk. The other thing that's been on my mind a lot is um, I just saw this comment from Tub. It says because dancing in front of signs is now a valid argument for support. Uh, yeah, that's pretty funny. Talking about the Harris Falls Cuban supporter. Yeah, so back on kind of the election cycle stuff is I'm seeing a lot of whatever conservative Trump supporters or people that are voting for Trump because it's not Kamala and they don't like the third party options. I'm seeing a lot of people that are pushing like vote early, get out and vote early, and here in Florida, most counties will be live to vote early on Monday, and so I'm sure that there's going to be a big push, and you'll see a lot of people rolling out to vote on Monday, and over the next week and stuff until November 5th. But it's kind of crazy to me because as a conspiracy theorist and as someone who's I mean, honestly, if you really ask me, like, I'll tell you that it is rigged. It has been rigged. Always will be rigged. It's just a matter of how much and when and all those things. And the more cynical part of me would probably lean even deeper into that. But I try to be a little white-pilled, not black-pilled. So I try to act like there's some hope there. So for the people that have a lot of hope and value in their vote, I'm just looking at it from a conspiracy standpoint where it's like, all right, so I guess I just don't understand the mentality there, because it's like if you vote early, let's just say, for instance, like 80 or 90% of all the people that are going to vote for Trump vote early. Let's say everybody has their vote in like a week before November 5th. If they're going to have to make up ballots, if they're going to have to, submit fraudulent ballots, they have a week to look at the numbers and say like, oh, well, we need exactly X amount of ballots versus, them just trying to dump them. And I don't really know. I'm not, whatever. I know that they claim that that everything was squeaky clean or whatever. Last presidential election, and that's up to you, or whatever people decide to feel how they feel about it. But I'm just looking at it from a conspiracy standpoint. If you are worried that your vote's not going to count, but you're going to place it early to where they could literally find out how many, like down to a single vote, how many votes they need to pack in duffel bags. And start counting. And there's already places. I think Pennsylvania is a place that said that they know that they won't have all their votes counted election night. And I don't know, guys. It just seems mighty fishy to me. And I will say, like, I remember there was a bunch of stuff like the last time around. Like there was a lot of the situations where people were standing in line for a long time, and then they were getting turned away, or they're like, oh, all of our voting machines went down and stuff. And I can understand, like, trying to avoid those situations. That makes strategic sense to me. But overall, it's just kind of a weird idea that you want to get all your votes in early and set them up and be like, oh, well, we need this many votes. Let's find them in different places, wherever. And, of course, I've already seen all kinds of stuff where people are, getting their relatives to vote and they're holding their hand. I shared the video the other day where the lady's like, oh, we're going to vote for our first woman president, and, it's Kamala Harris. And it's like, the old lady doesn't even know where she's at. Like, let alone who's president right now, who's going to be president, who's running. And so there's all kinds of people that are, I've seen several videos. The one video I reposted where the lady's holding this old lady's hand and like legit filling in the ballot for her. Like, it's hardly even in it's hardly even in the old lady's hand, and you know, here um, you know, and here we are, you know, going through this, and then I'm sure that there's tons of stuff going on. I know that there's all kinds of situations with them finding people that were dead that were voting and stuff, and you know, and then you have people like this where they're basically just doubling in their votes. You know, they're finding the way to get their family members and you know, get them to you know, to help them fill out their ballot or whatever, and it just seems crazy to me that that we're already seeing it, and then you have people that are like, oh, go vote early, and I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get it. You want your vote to be counted. You don't want to be stuck in this position. But honestly, if you get to the polls and you want to vote, and I don't care what time it is, where it is, or whatever, if it's that important to you, stay. Don't let them turn you away. Don't let them tell you to go to a different precinct. Don't let them tell you this or that or whatever, that you know, that you can come back or any of that kind of garbage. Just stay in the line. And you know, if it's that important to you, like, I know everybody's got jobs. I know everybody's got things to do. But if it's really that important to you, like, you're gonna have to stick it out. And you know, other than that, I mean, sure, go ahead and vote early. But geez, I don't really know. I don't really know how effective it is to make your vote count whenever it just puts a tally on the table for them to be able to, if they are gonna fraudulently add votes and stuff, wherever, gives them ample time to know exactly how many and you know, where they need the votes and all that stuff. So I don't know. Like I said, who knows? Who knows what's really going on? Anyways, like, is it, you know, is it all just a game? Maybe, but yeah. So I don't know. I just haven't really seen. I haven't seen anybody like really take into account all the different things, I guess. I mean, I see it on its face, like, oh, get your vote in early so that it counts. It's like, okay, well, yeah, once they count it, then what? Then they know how many they need. So, I pretty much, you know, with the severe cold and flu years behind us, and looking at all the things we learned, like, there should be no mail-in ballots. Really, we shouldn't be doing any kind of friggin'. We should really do all paper ballots on election day, and the only real absentee ballots that are sent out should be to military that's deployed. And honestly, I would like to fix that situation. Just bring all the military home, anyways, and then we'd kind of solve that problem. But yeah, I mean, basically. Okay, my mom agrees with me that it should only be the day except for military ballots. Yeah, so military, they can vote absentee, and, like, I don't know, maybe very, very strict a handful of other type of situations, because I know there are some situations where people literally can't get out to vote, right? Okay, so I'll be somewhat accommodating, but this whole, like, everybody can mail in a ballot, or everybody can vote, you know, for weeks, months leading up to the election, I think is bogus. I think it's garbage. I think it's just a devil's playground for shenanigans, and I just oppose it. But, and then looking at this, like, I mean, I don't know. I guess conservatives and Trump people and stuff, wherever, were trying to take advantage of it because they saw that, you know, Democrats took advantage of it last time. I don't know. I don't really know. I wish somebody would explain it to me, at least from their perspective, like, why they're confident that it's better to vote early, especially considering most of the people that would say vote early are people that would consider that they're either the election was false, or there's at least some kind of fraud and some kind of situations going on, right? So I don't know. So that's my take. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a couple other random conspiracy things wherever that's been on my mind, but nothing like super heavy. I will say that down here, one thing that we had found when we had started driving through town and stuff when we got back was all the trees and stuff down here are like halfway, um, halfway burnt up, and it looked like chemical burns. And it just kind of struck me as a conspiracy theorist. I was immediately like, "This is messed up," because I haven't seen this. There's a lot of people that we know that have been here for decades, and they said that they've never seen it before. They've been through multiple hurricanes, and then all of a sudden, like, all these news organizations and stuff started popping out and saying like, "Oh well, it's salt water," and because there wasn't that much rain with the storm, that the salt water that was in the storm blew and like landed on trees, and that's what happened. And it's like wind salt burn or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but it's just really weird. It's like certain trees, certain places, certain directions and sides, which whatever it could be. All right, I understand that it could be, but there's multiple things that are weird. Like the storm. We were on the south side of the storm, which was supposed to be like a higher storm surge and some of the worst storms and stuff spinning off. And the wind died down and was barely anything here, at least right here in my town I'm speaking. But and then just up on the coast, like there's places that were getting like 4 foot of sand pushed into buildings and stuff, which is crazy because the storm surge wasn't as bad as Helene, and so it's like moving all that sand, just weirdness. Okay, I don't really have any kind of real conspiracy. It's just weird observation, things that are weird, things that make me go, what is going on here? Why is this different? We've been here through a few hurricanes and tropical storms and stuff wherever, up and down the coast and across Florida, and we've seen like what storms do and stuff, and there's a lot of things about Milton that's just different. And I'm like I said, I don't know, maybe there's conspiracies, but maybe it's just random happenstance, and it's like something that happens with certain hurricanes under very specific conditions, or it could be conspiracy. I don't know. I'm just saying, just weird observations, coming home and seeing things that were out of place, out of norm. Yeah. So the other thing that I had on here. Let's see. Maybe I'll share that. I think I'm gonna wait on that until the next live because that'd be more time appropriate. Yeah. So I don't know. That's about all I have for tonight. See if there's anything crazy real quick. Oh, if y'all didn't see Trump speaking at that dinner in New York City last night, there's some hilarious clips, and I don't know who wrote the jokes for Trump, but they were crushing. They were hilarious. I was sitting there watching them. I didn't even see all of them until this morning, and I started looking, and I found a couple more clips, and I started dying because I was like, "This is crazy. This is even happening." But it's definitely hilarious stuff. All right. Well, that's interesting. First thing I see whenever it popped up, X, just to see if there's anything crazy going on. There's a man in Kamala's rally that said Jesus is Lord, and Kamala told him that he was at the wrong rally to thunderous applause, which doesn't surprise me at all. But that is pretty crazy. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's been one of those weeks, or one of those couple weeks, just trying to get through all the hurricane stuff, and prepping to get out of here from Milton was messed up because we were watching all the horrific stuff from Helene and everything, and western North Carolina and through Tennessee and Georgia and stuff, and then of course all the aftermath and everything just here in Florida up the coast. I mean, everything on the Gulf Coast is in shambles. Like there's just, it's not complete, like it's not that everything's leveled or anything, but there's just so much damage and there's so much water and sand that was moved around, and I mean there's whole areas that are pretty much having to be like rebuilt. So you know, gutted and rebuilt. Not obviously, like I said, most of the stuff wasn't raised. There were some old buildings that were completely like wiped out. They were flattened, but a lot of the newer stuff and whatever, not the case. One of the boardwalks that we like to go to that has a bunch of shops and whatever, candy, ice cream, and little food shops and stuff. Wherever they lost a lot, and a lot of the shops and stuff wherever have to be completely redone, and the docks, all the docks for all the boats and jet skis and all the rental equipment and parasail companies and fishing companies and stuff. All those, you know, it was completely ripped up, and they already started work, and then Milton hits, and you know, luckily Milton didn't do as much as Helene did, but Helene brought so much water, and I mean, it's crazy being very familiar with certain places and seeing the water lines and knowing what that means and how much water that takes. It's pretty crazy. So just keep, you know, if you have anybody that you know, is taking donations and stuff or wherever, you know, donate a little bit of money, a little bit of clothes, whatever they need. We're gonna try to send some stuff up to some of the affected areas, and we helped a couple local families get some kits and toys and clothes and stuff wherever they lost some things. But I mean, there's still people that are hurting. I feel like the news and stuff has kind of died down because obviously it's election season, so you know, everything moves at such even a faster pace news cycle than it normally does. So we just need to do our part, and you know, not forget about the people that are hurting, the people that have lost so much, and you know, try to help out and try to just stay on top of that. I know it's hard for everybody because the economy's trash and everything's expensive. Gas is expensive, food's expensive, and obviously, honestly, traveling, I found a couple places where gas was like really cheap for whatever reason, and I guess it was just the right boony area or wherever that just didn't have that much traffic, I guess. But yeah, we just gotta keep taking care of people, because we know that the government's not gonna save anybody, and we gotta save ourselves. So I guess I'll go ahead and wrap up. Tonight I will say that I am rocking my "It's Not Treason If You Win" shirt. Which my buddy, the Real Young Swag, has a music video coming out the 19th where he's wearing this, but in a black hoodie. So definitely go check him out if you like hip hop, and he's done a couple different like multi-genre type songs, but he is a friend of mine. He's a friend of the brand. He never lets me send him free stuff. He always wants to buy from me. So if you're out there, Swag, listening, thank you, bro. But yeah, he's got a video dropping. It's called Red vs. Blue on October 29th, and it'll be featuring this, but in hoodie form. You can get yours obviously at whotouchedit.com, along with all of our other crazy options that I have out there, and I have some more that I'm working on. So I guess that's it for tonight. Thanks for everybody watching, joining, and I'll see you not this Friday, but the following Friday, and we'll be back at it again, live stream, and I'm going to try to see if I can get some things, get a show set up for you guys next time, and have a little bit more transitions and some video, do some fancy stuff with the video, and yeah, I appreciate all the support. Like I said, go grab a couple shirts, hoodies, and all that good stuff over at whotouched.com. And follow me on X, Instagram, Facebook, all that, and we'll get after it together. But thanks again. I'll see y'all next time.